to be satisfied with illusion. It's cost you the option of using another person to avoid yourself. It's cost you the comfort of not knowing what you know. These are real costs, and sometimes they feel like too much to pay. But here's what you must understand. You can't go back, even if you wanted to. Even if you tried to play the old game, to pretend you don't see what you see, it wouldn't work. The awakening has happened. You've tasted something real. And once you've tasted the real thing, the counterfeit loses all its flavor. So what do? You wait. You live. You continue to grow and learn and experience the richness of existence. You don't close your heart. You don't become bitter or cynical. You simply recognize that love, real love, must come from a different place now. Not from need, but from fullness. Not from fear, but from freedom. Not from the desperate grasping of two incomplete people, but from the joyful meeting of two whole beings. And maybe it comes. Maybe one day you meet someone who has walked the same path, who carries the same quality of presence, who looks at you and sees not a solution to their loneliness, but a companion in the mystery. Someone who doesn't need you to complete them, because they're already complete. Someone who can love you not because they must, but because they choose to. Because the loving itself is the point, not what they get from it. When that happens, if it happens, it's nothing like the old falling in love. There's no fever, no obsession, no desperate clinging. Instead, there's a recognition, a meeting of equals. Two people who are already at peace with themselves, choosing to share that peace with each other. Not because they need to, but because they want to, because it's delightful, because it's an expression of the freedom they've each discovered within themselves. This kind of love doesn't bind, it doesn't possess, it doesn't make demands, it simply is. Like water flowing, like birds flying, like the sun shining. It's love without agenda, without negotiation, without the subtle bargaining that underlies so much of what passes for love in this world. But again, such love is rare, and there's no guarantee you'll find it. You might spend your whole life waiting. You might die having never met another awake being in the intimate way you long for. And you must make peace with that possibility. You must be willing to walk alone, if that's what clarity requires. Because the alternative is worse. The alternative is to go back to sleep, to stuff yourself back into the old costume and play the old part, to use someone or let someone use you in the mutual pretense that this will solve the problem of existence. And you can't do that anymore. The costume doesn't fit. The role doesn't convince. You've seen behind the curtain, and there's no putting the veil back up. So you carry this strange gift, this burden of clarity. You're awake in a world that's mostly sleeping. You see through games that everyone else takes seriously. And yes, it's lonely sometimes. Yes, it's difficult. Yes, you wish it were easier to find someone who understands. But you wouldn't trade it, because you've tasted freedom. And freedom, real freedom, is worth any price. The spiritually awake can't find love, not because love has abandoned them, but because they refuse to call anything less than truth by that name. They've stopped confusing need with love, hunger with passion, attraction with devotion. They've stopped playing the game where two people use each other as escapes from themselves. And in stopping, they've opened themselves to something far more real. Something that may never come, or that may come tomorrow, or that may already be here, in forms they haven't learned to recognize yet. But whatever happens, they know this: they are already whole, already complete, already free. And that knowledge, that certainty, is more valuable than all the counterfeit romances in the world. They would rather be alone in truth than coupled in illusion. They would rather wait a lifetime for something real than settle for something that merely fills the time. This is the price of awakening, and it is also its gift. You lose the ability to lose yourself in others, but you gain the ability to find yourself in everything. You lose the comfort of mutual neediness, but you gain the freedom of not needing at all. You lose the old story of romance, but you open yourself to the possibility of something so much greater. Love without conditions, love without demands, love that asks nothing and gives everything. Love that is not a feeling or an emotion, but a way of being in the world. And if you never find another person to share that with, well, you still have the love itself. Because it was never in the other person anyway. It was always in you, waiting to be discovered, waiting to be lived, not as a transaction between two people, but as the ground of your very being, as what you are, not what you do, as the ocean, not the wave. This is why the spiritually awake can't find love in the usual way, because they've already found it in the most important way. They've found it in themselves, and nothing, no person, no relationship, no romance, however sweet, can compare to that discovery. Everything else is just play, delightful perhaps, beautiful sometimes, but play nonetheless. And you can enjoy the play without mistaking it for the real thing, without betting your piece on its outcome, without forgetting who you are beneath all the costumes and roles. So yes, you're alone sometimes. Yes, the crowd has thinned out. Yes, it's harder to find someone who speaks your language. But you're also free in a way you never were before. Free to love without needing. Free to connect without clinging. Free to be yourself without apology or pretense. And that freedom, that vast, spacious freedom, is what you've been looking for all along.